Hey there everyone, this is Aurelian, and we're playing Neverwinter Nights 2. So, this is a game by Obsidian, written by, that guy, and it's kind of underrated, I think. Mostly because it has a lot of problems that you absolutely cannot ignore. So, I'm going to be playing through basically the first two campaigns. There's 4 of them. The original campaign and Mask of the Betrayer, which Mask of the Betrayer is a direct sequel to the official campaign. The official campaign has next to no connection to Neverwinter Nights 1, other than that it takes place chronologically later, and you can still kind of see the effects of Neverwinter Nights in the city of Neverwinter. Storm of Zahir is pretty cool, in that you make like a party of 4, I think. And, you know, it takes place in the same area, but it's very story light. So I'm not going to be playing that. And Mysteries of Westgate, never played it. Yeah, I just got it in the Good Old Games version of the game. I'm not particularly interested myself. So, I'm playing with a handful of mods. I'm going to explain only a few of them. Just the important ones, or at least the noticeable ones. The music, different than the music that would normally be playing, because the music that plays on the title screen of Storm of Zahir is just annoying. We'll be playing as an Aasimar. Aasimar? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Aasimar, if you're not familiar with them, and if you're not familiar with the 3.5 edition D&D rules in general, Aasimar get additional wisdom and charisma, which makes them really good paladins, and they don't get any penalties if they multi-class as a paladin. They get the light spell once per day, some resistances, dark vision. They're pretty great all over the place, which is why they need enough experience to make it to level 3 to make it to level 2, and so on. That's the only real drawback of an Aasimar, though. That and they're not particularly great at anything that doesn't need wisdom and charisma. Among the mods we're using is United Colors, which just gives us a much larger color palette to work with everywhere. Whoops, not eyebrow color. Eye color. Is that the one I want? I think so. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to make him a little bit taller and a little bit leaner. And one of the other things, I've got actually a mod that makes all of the faces in the game look a lot, or close to all of the faces in the game look a lot better. Unfortunately, to make it work with what I wanted for Aasimar, I had to basically not benefit from that with them. Because looks a little familiar now. A little bit. He's, you know, I could only work with faces that have that beard, and there's 2 of them, but, you know. I added the tattoo myself. Basically just 10 minutes in the game. Copying from another face. And, yeah, I had to use a thing to make the Aasimar have the original faces from humans and Aasimar shared. So we're actually going to kind of look a little bit worse than everyone else. We are going to start as a paladin, as you can imagine, being an Aasimar, and also based off of that guy. but we're going to multi-class into Favored Soul pretty quickly, starting level 3 basically. Favored Souls...
In D&D terms, they are the sorcerer to the wizard's cleric, or the cleric's wizard. They spontaneously cast divine spells, so they're good at healing, but they get a lot of free feats based off of their deity's favored weapon. And in that regard, they are slightly better at fighting close-up than clerics are, although they have the same hit die and actually no access to heavy armor, unless you class as something else or, grab a thief.
And, you know, that guy from that game, you might remember the one. He was a certain way. Unfortunately, not really lawful good, but, you know, if you had this pantheon to choose from, the goddess of sex, beauty, love, and passion, would probably be up there as his choices. Sune's real favorite weapon is the whip, but whips aren't in this game, so they changed it to flail for the benefit of Favored Souls. I changed it to halberds. Because this is going to look like something like that. Yeah, something like that. Because he's an Aasimar, we can get his wisdom and charisma a lot higher for a lot fewer points. Which will be important, because Favored Souls cast from, like, charisma. They need high charisma for casting, but it's based on their wisdom. So they're actually very difficult to have any good at breaking through, like, saving throws and spell resistance and stuff. Which is why you kind of just want to give them self-buffs. We're going to make him a ladies' man for the listen and diplomacy, and the fact that Intimidate is not going to be important to us. I'm giving him concentration and diplomacy. Heal is of limited use in this game. It's really expensive to cross-class skills, and parry exists for Neverwinter Nights, which is your ability to block incoming attacks and make counterattacks while you're in defensive mode, which will almost never be in defensive mode, because I'm playing this on easy. Because, as you will probably quickly figure out, the actual combat, the actual gameplay of this game is kind of terrible. Luck of Heroes is my favorite background trait to take at level 1 because I like saving throws, and I love luck bonuses to armor class because there aren't many to go around, which means it stacks with virtually everything. Oh man. And it's a good thing I didn't accidentally click on finish instead of, play sound. That would have just been embarrassing. So, yeah. Just gonna show off a few of the voices. Mainly the best ones and the worst ones, and then we're gonna listen to the one I'm gonna use. So, I like Reserved Guardian.
Strike at them! Attack! Let the earth take you!
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Mature Swashbuckler, love that one, but it's too young a voice for this guy.
Fight, my friends! Attack!
He's great. Many people tend to say that all the voice choices in this game and Neverwinter Nights 1 are pretty terrible. They're usually referring to this one.
Attack! I say attack! You are so gonna feel some wrath!
High Strung Evangelist. It's pretty great. And yeah, I mean, of these, there's probably 6 that I would ever use. And fewer in the female voices, but Hardened Battler, is that the one?
Leave no one standing.
Yeah, we're gonna be voiced by Steve Bloom. Because, I mean, look at him. That is a Bloom face. So, yeah. I think we're good. I'm not gonna bother with writing a background or anything.
So many years ago today,
your background's kind of predetermined.
My foster son is up and dressed, I see. Today is the High Harvest Fair, and the West Harbor Village Council requires me to man the archery competition. The human need to celebrate Remembrance Days baffles me. But at least something productive may come of it. The merchant Galen is here. He'll want my furs, as he usually does. Coins can be useful in getting by. This past season has been a hard one, for both tilled fields and wildlands. While I attend to the archery contest, I will need you to deal with the merchant. Fetch my furs from the chest, over by the painting.
And that flood of exposition was basically all we need to know for now. I'm going to disable the pop-ups. If you skip the tutorial, it skips the whole festival. So yeah, that Dagon is our foster father. That is still true if you're an elf. Like, the fact that he's your foster father and not your real father is somewhat important. I think I accidentally referred to one of the elves in the Dalish camp in Dragon Age 2 as Dagon. Wrongly. It's Dagon's brother, cousin, I forget which, Duncan, is the guy that shares that voice. Anyway, geez, is it seriously? Okay, no. Yeah, so I have the client extender running, which will make this game slightly less horrible in terms of stuff, but get used to seeing this. If you're not sure what happened, I will tell you exactly what I'm doing. Pushing W, pushing E, letting go of W. Seriously? Oh, does it only work with... No, it works both ways. Yeah, so what normally happens is you turn like 90 degrees from the direction that you stopped moving at. The client extender turns you back to the correct direction, but that's all it does. This is the first of many horrifically tedious and obnoxious bugs in this game. And if you're not familiar with the rest of them, you are in for a ride. So, oh yeah, also I should mention, that's just in character mode. There's strategy mode, which... Oh, whoops. Well, I guess it uses the arrow keys by default. That's a little bit awkward, but gives you an overhead and you can like move a certain distance from your character being centered. And then there's exploration mode, which kind of gives you a almost, you know, Diablo-like view of things. Which is nice. I mean, I'll probably eventually get frustrated and switch to using that exclusively, but until then, we're on character mode, because I think it's, you know, it's nice to be closer.
Good. I see you have the furs. Galen has probably set up his tent on the village green. He'll be enjoying the fair with the rest of the townsfolk. Last season, I asked him to bring a duskwood bow to trade. Sell him the furs and use the coins it gives you to purchase the bow. Your friends await you at the bridge. I suppose you're anxious to see the fair. But don't forget to trade with Galen.
Dagon is a little bit cold, and he's been like that for basically your entire childhood. Your mother, who was his wife, he was her second husband, died a while back. That'll all be covered, you know, pretty soon. So I'm not going to go into details there. But it, you know, certainly doesn't hurt to know that. And we live in a swamp. Now, I am the type of person who actually doesn't mind swamps, but this is still pretty dreary. This is where we live.
There you are! Come on, the fair's already started!
It's the biggest fair in years. There's folk in from all the outlying farms, and even a few from outside the mare. That means a big audience.
A big audience, all cheering for us. This year's our last chance to compete for the Harvest Cup. Our last chance to win.
One of the best places you can really see the difference is right here. Bevel's face is changed in the face pack that I mentioned earlier, and it's really high quality. Amy's is not, and, well, you can see what she looks like. Obviously, because there's so many voices available and the voice acting budget on this was lower, and you could be any number of different races and misc other things, we're not actually voiced. So it's typical several response fare, being a jerk, asking about stuff, and just getting right to it. Nothing fancy going on in the player side of dialogue, although the character dialogue is generally pretty good because, you know, Obsidian knows their stuff.
The Mossfelds won both their matches in the Harvest Brawl. They'll be tough to beat, but Amy's bound to win the Tourney of Talent for us.
I convinced Tarmus to teach me a few new spells. And I dug up a couple more from his spellbooks when he wasn't looking. Anyway, I heard Will Mossfeld is doing the same act this year, so that should help my chances.
Oh, gods. Not the pixie impressions again.
Yep, so,
We sign up with Georg in the village square. Come on!
good times. And yeah, that's, kind of introducing you to some of the townspeople without necessarily involving them in the conversation. Bevel and Amy themselves are party members for now. We can, you know, switch to them. Not sure why her voice is so weird, but anyway.
The blight. You're sure it's spreading, Orlin?
It's no blight, Georg. It's something else. There's no mold, no rot. It's like the crops don't want to grow. Like they haven't the guts to up and face the sun.
What do the druids say?
Well, it's just a rub, Georg. There's no druids to be found, not head nor heel. It used to be they'd warned me of troubles, long before I noticed the signs myself. But this time, we're out in silence. You think we ought to say something? Everyone's gathered for the fair, even from the outlying farms.
No. They ought to be free from cares, at least for a day. We'll go round tomorrow. Talk to the households one by one.
Right you are, Georg. Tomorrow, then.
Plot. What the hell was that?
Aha! I've been wondering when I'd see the three of you. Last year to compete, isn't that right? Better make it count, then. Another victory speech from that muttonhead of a Mossfeld, and I think there'll be a riot. Rules are the same as ever. Win 3 of the 4 events, and you win the Harvest Cup. Win all 4, and the village council grants you a special prize. And nobody's done that since old Cormac.
I love how there's apparently some age limit to when you can compete for the Harvest Cup. And it seems to go by number of years. So if you're an elf and your default starting age is like 120 years old, apparently it's that, and Bevel is the same age as you. I mean, clearly Bevel is 32, right?
Oh, that boy was a legend. Oh, I'm sure there's 100 Cormacs in a city like Neverwinter. But for this town, he was as big as folks get. Old Cormac fought Lon Starling in the brawl, and some story that was. But I don't suppose you have time for stories just now.
Georg likes his tall tales. Also, Lorne Starling is one of Bevel's brothers, but he, his mother had like 8 kids, so, good luck keeping track of that.
Well, there's the Harvest Brawl. Old favorite, that one. And the Tourney of Talent. But you've got Amy on your team, so you're certain to win.
Thanks, Georg.
Just the truth, young lady. Your foster father's running the archery competition, as always, and I managed to convince Tarmus to supervise the Knaves Challenge. I guess the Knaves Challenge will be your toughest event, though the Mossfeld boys might say otherwise. Will and his brothers have won the Harvest Brawl 3 years running. It'll be tough to dislodge them, but remember, you only have to win 3 events to claim the cup. Keep an eye on Bevel, and don't let the Mossfelds get him riled. That's how they always beat him on the practice field.
Yeesh, Georg, I'm right here, you know.
If you have any troubles, you know where to find me. Oh, and good luck in the brawl!
So, that gives us our 4 objectives. I believe you can do it with just 3. I'm pretty sure you do have to win 3, though. But, basically you get an extra prize if you win all 4. So, that's what we'll be doing. But that's gonna have to wait until the next part, so, yep, I'm looking forward to this LP, and hopefully I don't face the same technical problems that I had going in. So, we'll see you in the next part. Goodbye.